Watch out!
Welcome back. JotoJohnny here with some more leaked info for Pokemon Legends EA. It's so good to be back home so I can cover more of this game's hype cycle for you all. And while I was gone, some awesome news popped up that we just have to talk about today. Now, we have several leaks here, and they have broad implications on what the game will be like to play. 2 of them are positive, and 1 is negative. I think that we can all agree that if we're gonna have to talk about it, we may as well just get that bad news out of the way first. Now, this first leak containing that bad news comes from the reputable leaker, Pyro. For those of you who don't know, Pyro is confirmed several times over to be a reliable leaker. He's been spot on about so many things with the current Nintendo hype cycle, including dates for Nintendo Directs, specifics on Nintendo Switch 2, info on Metroid Prime 4, and details on Pokemon Legends EA. All before those details for each of those respective things were revealed to the public by Nintendo themselves. If there's anyone we can trust for leaks right now, it's Pyro. So that makes the info drop that he gave us all the more disheartening, because we know it's true. He confirmed recently that there will be no new Pokemon in Pokemon Legends EA. Matter of fact, there won't even be new regional variants for them. Now, this news isn't the best, but if you really think about it, at least it makes sense from a lore perspective. I mean, we already experienced Kalos in present day with X and Y, and we witnessed no regional variants there. Considering ZA takes place not too long after that game, it makes sense that there'd be no regional form or time variants for Pokemon. Legends Arceus had regional forms, but those were tied to the time period of the game. It was a much earlier era for Sinnoh, so old in fact that the land was still known by a different name, that being Hisui. Forms and new Pokemon we witnessed in Hisui were marred in the time they existed in, such as the harsher life of a Basculin, so therefore Basculegion exists, or Metalcoat's not existing, so Scyther didn't evolve into Scizor, he naturally evolved into something else entirely. Is this a great excuse for Pokemon and new forms not being in ZA? No, of course not. But it's the one I imagine Game Freak had plotted in their heads, so we'll just have to roll with it, I guess. I mean, there is some good news though to come from this. What we do know that we are getting is new Mega forms at the very least for several Pokemon, which is much appreciated since the full list of already existing Megas will not be in ZA. Such as Mega Rayquaza, for example. He's not going to be in ZA with his Mega form either. I'm sure you've already seen the lists online. I'm avoiding it as much as possible to avoid spoilers, so I haven't looked at the full list, and I definitely won't be before beating the game myself, but yeah, the Pokemon that we're going to have Mega forms for are going to be some Pokemon that haven't had them before, and some of the ones that did have them before just won't be in the game at all, because those Pokemon just aren't in ZA's decks. Now, let's get on to the good news. According to a new leak, we're going to be seeing a new enemy type called Rogue Megas. The appearance of these formidable foes is hinted to be tied to missions. Whether these missions are tied to the main story, side quests, or both has yet to be revealed, but no matter how you slice it, this sounds exciting. Rogue Megas will presumably function similarly to Alpha Pokemon from Legends Arceus, where they'll be super powered, rampaging wild Pokemon that act as mini boss battles of sorts. They'll be extra difficult to beat, seeing as to how Megas in ZA seem to get a huge battle advantage with extremely powerful attacks that almost always seem to one-shot. We, the player, we have limits to our access for this, whereas these rampaging Megas will have this buff on permanently until we defeat them. That's pretty terrifying. Now, I mentioned that these Rogue Megas function similarly to Alpha Pokemon, but apparently, that doesn't mean we won't be seeing Alpha Pokemon again. According to the same leaker, Alpha Pokemon will be making a return in Pokemon Legends EA. These will still be mini-bosses of sorts, but unlike Rogue Megas, they won't have quite as high of a power buff in combat, so we'll stand much more of a chance against these enemies, even if they are also buffed compared to our Pokemon. I imagine they won't be called Alpha Pokemon this time around like they were in Legends Arceus, since Alphas derived their names from the fact that Arceus is literally dubbed the Alpha Pokemon. I also wonder though if Alphas will be larger in size like in Legends Arceus. and I find that hard to believe that they would be, since we've already seen that size variants don't exist in ZA, and we've also already seen that large Pokemon like Gyarados, Onix, and more are shrunken down in general. With those being the case, I don't see why alphas would be the only ones that are bigger, and if they are bigger, how that would make up for the excuses people have for why they shrunk down the large Pokemon in the first place. Anyways, now these additions to gameplay in Legends ZA would be super cool and fun, and I'm all here for it. But I want to talk about who the leaker is for both of these. These two leaks were both brought forth by, well, Centro Leaks. And I've looked and looked and looked online and haven't found any corroborating leaker to justify these claims. Now, that's not to say Centro Leaks hasn't been correct with leaks before, but there's no denying that they typically don't leak things themselves. They usually just act as a page that archives and summarizes more reputable leaks from other leakers, citing the real leaker in question when they do. This time around though, no such leaker was cited, leading me to believe that these two leaks on Alphas and Rogue Megas come directly from someone within the Central Leaks team. Again, they've gotten stuff right in the past when they've done this, but they've also gotten plenty wrong before, so I have to say, as cool as all this sounds, there's a chance it's not real. Until further notice, if Central Leaks does cite an actual leaker, or say, why whoever in their internal team said this leak was a thing is so matter of fact, like they're so confident about it. I don't know if I personally believe it, but maybe you guys do, which is too bad because the bad news we started with in this video is real, but these good news just might not be. Don't let this rain on your parade though, because whether these last two leaks are real or not, we already know there's a lot to be excited for in Legends ZA. The last couple trailers provided us directly by Nintendo and the Pokemon Company look really fun and promising. So at this point, we still have lots of waiting to do before we can see what other surprises the game will have to offer. So let us know down in the comments section if you think these are real or not, and if they are, will you be excited to experience them? Afterwards, check out more of my videos like this one here where I deep dive into all the differences between the Switch 1 and Switch 2 versions of Pokemon Legends ZA. Links are in front of you and in the pinned comment. If you want to support me and have your name featured at the end of all my videos, then please feel free to join my Patreon with the link in front of you or in the description, or become a channel member right here on YouTube. I've been JotoJohnny, and I will catch you all there.